Welcome to tonight's live stream. I'm going to get started in a minute. What's going on, Team Mac? Glad to see you here. I'm going to get started in a minute, but before I get started tonight, I'm going to go through some perfunctory. If you notice there's a difference in the lighting, that's because I have the ring light on for tonight's show, and I'm working on some new production techniques for tonight's show. So that's why you see some brighter lighting for tonight's show that you did not see in previous shows. And I used this lighting setup when I was doing the show with G-Boot 2786 last time. So this new lighting setup is part of my efforts to improve the quality of the content on this channel. And I just got to take a minute to head over to Facebook and let everybody know that the show is getting started over here. So letting people on Facebook know what the show is all about. And tonight's show's topic is going to be talking about the hobosexual. And what I mean by hobosexual, I'm going to spell this out, Hobosexual. Now, this is a slang term that has been used in the Black community to describe these Black males out here who just go out here looking for Black women to go live off of and live under. And many of these guys have made it a career from the research I've done to live off these females, go into their apartments, go there looking to find a place to live and a place to stay in exchange for sex. Now, some people back in the 70s and the 80s, we called these gigolos, and in the Bible, they would call these kind of guys whoremongers. And in all cases, these guys, in all aspects of things, if you take a full critical examination of these types of individuals, they're all basically just beta males, like the ones I described in my book, The Man Crisis. And I'm going to leave a link to that book, The Man Crisis, in the chat, so you guys can go out here and pick that book up. And these guys fit the pattern and profile of what I talk about in The Man Crisis. What's really interesting to me about this group of beta males is that they're thinking they're getting over on these women by living with them for a short time as they're trying to trade sex for a place to stay. But they truly show us that these guys really have no male life skills and no male survival skills in order to navigate a course in the world. When I look at what people call a hobosexual, again, when I deconstruct them at the lowest level, at the foundation of them, I see yet another form of beta male. And this beta male is one who just does not know how to navigate the world as a man. So he looks for females to live off of and females to take care of him like a child. And these males, when they're out here, they think that they are some sort of cool doing this, but they aren't really cool at all. When I look at your hobosexual, I see a sad, pathetic little boy who is trying to work his hustle on people, but he doesn't understand that he's not going to be really respected as a man. And when I look at your so-called hobosexual, he's really, again, a very, very sad individual because he's making a career out of living off of women. Now, most of these guys, the core foundation of them starts in the single mother household that they're raised in, and that's where they learn these feminine life skills that they're using out here. Because the hobosexual, he's not a man who has learned male life skills on how to navigate the world because he probably didn't have a father in his life and he doesn't want to go out here and start focusing on doing what men do in the world, which is building. Now, when a man is out here in the world, his goal is to get himself a job, get himself established, get his own place, get his own money, and get himself together so he can start laying the foundation for building something. But your hobosexual, because he comes from a female headed household, he comes from the perspective of a female. And because he comes from the perspective of a female, what he wants to do is he wants to basically be the woman in the relationship. So he wants to be the woman who gets taken care of by another woman, and he wants to go and nest in the woman's house. So we have a male who has male anatomy out here, but he wants to play the female role. So what these guys will do is think that they have got some game out here. They'll call themselves trying to sweet talk these females who are out here who have these big educations, these big jobs, and this big money. And they will sit there and be trying to sweet talk this woman, trying to get her to let them move in with them and try to get them to let them stay with them as they are out here. So what they're trying to do is use their mouthpiece to try to charm this female into getting them to stay with them. And they're going to try to nest up in that home and try to be up in this woman's house. And what's really troubling about these guys is as they're trying to nest in this woman's house like a female, they have no interest in try to get themselves together. Now, I can understand a guy falling on hard times because I myself have fallen on hard times for some time. And in that whole time, you're supposed to be working on trying to look for a job, trying to build some sort of business venture, trying to find some way to make some money so you can contribute to this person's house so that you can show respect to that individual for giving you an opportunity to stay in their space. You're supposed to be putting some money on their table, but the hobosexual is not interested in putting any sort of money on any woman's table as related to getting on his feet, and he's not interested in making any sort of effort towards getting himself on his feet the way a man is supposed to do. No, your hobosexual, what he wants to do is live off the female, and he wants to trade penis in the way females try to trade vagina in exchange for goods and services. And what these guys want to do is they want to go out here and trade sex for a place to stay, and basically, when they do that, again, they show how weak of a man they are, because they're sitting there thinking this is something cool to do, but this is not something cool to do, because when a man goes out here and he's trading his body for a place to stay, he is coming from a position of weakness. And when a man comes from a position of weakness, he's not coming from a place where he's going to get any respect from those women. So when those women move this man in the house, they create this covert contract thinking, oh, I can go out here, I'll go get this homosexual guy because he's good looking and because he's down on his luck. I can get some leverage on him. And if things are working out, I could possibly try to fix this guy up. So they will think that by this guy being down on his luck, they can just go move him into his house, and they think they can go out here and clean this guy up. And eventually they will try to make this guy and shape and mold this guy into an ideal man, like the good man Madison Avenue and Hollywood tell women they can get. They're thinking they can go out here and take this guy, shape him, mold him, clean him up, make him into their ideal. But this guy is not going to ever be any sort of ideal. And this whole plan is going to fall apart for two reasons. Now, the first reason why this whole plan is going to fall apart is because this woman, when she looks at this guy, when she first sees him, she just feels sorry for this man. And when a woman feels sorry for a man, what will happen is she will never respect that man. So when a woman looks at a guy as less than, she will never see him as rising to be anything else, because she's already seen the unfinished product. She's already seen this male and in a childlike role. And because she sees this man in a childlike role, she can't see him from an adult perspective. So the relationship is already starting out at a low level, and it's not going to be able to rise, because it's not about the man rising to the woman's level. It's about the woman going out here and looking for a man who elevates her to a higher level. So the relationship is already starting out completely unbalanced, and it's starting out completely unbalanced, and that's what leads to the whole homosexual paradigm falling completely apart. And because the woman is higher than the man, she then sees the man not as a man she respects. No, she sees the male as a child. And because she sees the male as a child, what happens is she does not respect him on the same level she would see an established man. Thank you, Yak Diesel, for the super chat. And he asked the question, how does the hobo issue get resolved short term to move the Black community forward, especially when these males are used by some Black women to undermine Black men? Well, the homosexual issue, it gets resolved when other men start teaching men male life skills, and when men start learning the importance of their roles as men. What happens is they will eventually learn how to move things forward. But we have a small group of these males who want to be in this role because they're thinking that they're getting over on the female. but they're not getting over on the female. What's happening is that these guys are basically gigolos and whoremongers, and all they're looking to do is get the draws and go. They're not looking to build anything. And a lot of these guys, because they come from single mother households, they're looking to be in that female role. They were looking to be codependent on this woman, but that's not going to work for much longer because there's only so far that penis can take you, and it can't go but so far because once you get older, women are not going to respect this guy. They're going to see him as a clown and not want to have anything to do with him. Now, T-Mac says these women is sometimes someone else is these women is sometime else. They will let a pookie stay in their house, but a good black man, she will tell him to leave. He has his own. That's so true. And what's going on, Ball and Dobbit? I'm glad to see you here. And if you guys want to donate to the Cash App, donate to the Cash App by clicking the links in the chat. But these homosexual males, they are a real big problem, especially in the black community, because these males are in a state of arrested development. And these males, they think that this is the move. They think that, oh, if I go out here and I stay with this female, I'm going to be doing something positive. But what these guys do is serious damage because they're out here with these females, and these females are living with them, taking care of them. And that's not the way a man works in the world. And that's not how a man is supposed to function in the world. When you're staying up in a woman's house, thank you, Michael, for the super chat. Glad, thank you, really appreciate it. When you're staying up in a woman's house, she again does not see you as a man. She sees you as a child. And these guys, when they're in this woman's house, they oftentimes behave in extremely childlike fashion. I mean, instead of trying to get their stuff together, like going to go get some training for a skill or trying to go out here and work on building something constructive, what these dudes do is they sit there like 11, 12, 13-year-olds sitting up there playing PlayStation, sitting up there with the stereo super loud, listening to old rap jams, listening to old R&B and alienating all the neighbors in a residence, or they're out here playing basketball on the courts in the summer with the Air Jordans that they woman bought them, and they're sitting up there watching these talk shows all day long. Basically, they're living like either a 15-year-old boy or they're sitting up there living like a female would back in the day. The housewife would be sitting up in the house. And these guys are thinking that they are the man in the house, but they're actually being emasculated by the female in the home because the female is the one who is the breadwinner and the provider. And as this relationship goes on between this woman and this man, this relationship really starts to deteriorate over time because the woman is looking for the man to step up, but this man never really steps up. He still remains in that state of arrested development, still sitting on her sofa in this playing this PlayStation or this Xbox, or he's sitting up there watching these talk shows, or he's on the internet that she has beefing and arguing with some other man online, or if she has a car, what he's doing is taking her car after he drops her off from work, driving around, cruising around in her car, and he's trying to play the big shot because he'll go out here and put rims on her car. He'll put these stereos in her car. He'll be like Jody on Baby Boy, driving her car around, going out here, picking up other females, acting like he's got all the money, but he's living off her money. And that's something that a man just doesn't do. And these guys are sitting up there trying to play big shot on another woman's money. And that's just not the way a man operates out here. But these guys never learned how a man operates out here because many of these dudes they grew up in these single mother households, and they were following the model of their mother, and they saw their mother being taken care of by other men out here, and they saw their mother out here going out here and these guys were taking going out here buying her clothes, buying her shoes, and buying her whatever she wanted, and then using her body. And because they saw that model growing up as boys, that's what they took into their manhood, and that's what they're doing as a model for their approach to life. So when they go out here and they approach life, they see life from the eyes of a female, and they're looking for a female to take care of them the way their mother took care of them. And they're looking for a girlfriend who will be just like their mother. So these guys are looking for a woman to be just like mommy, and they're looking for this woman to take care of their economic needs, their social needs, and their business needs. They are just looking for the woman to nurture and care for them in the same way a child looks for his mother to take care of them. And they think that this is the way a man is supposed to be, but most men who are raised in a healthy environment, when we look at that kind of guy, we shake our heads because this guy, he's basically living on borrowed time. And again, he's living on thin ice. Because one, when a woman feels sorry for a man and she takes him into her home, again, she creates the covert contract with that man in the hopes that he'll improve himself. So this woman will invest her money and her time in this guy, hoping that this guy will improve, hoping she can clean him up, and hoping that he will make changes to himself to become a better man. So he's out here, she's out here investing her hopes, wishes, and dreams on making this guy into somebody better. She's out here thinking she can go out here and fix this guy, but the joke's on her because when it comes down to men, if his mother could not get him right, then she has no chance of getting that man right. Because, like I stated in my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, the critically acclaimed nonfiction book you can get on Amazon.com. Like I stated in my book, you can get on Amazon, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. This guy, he is, when you get him, you're thinking you can fix him, but there is no fixing him because, again, if his mama couldn't fix him, there's nothing you can do for him because his mother, taught him this culture of dysfunction, and because his mother taught him this culture of dysfunction, this is why this male is acting this way. And once you get him in your house, he's already set in that way. And because he's set in his way, there is no fixing this dude. So you will go out here and go and get this guy and think, oh, I'm going to fix him and make him better, and he'll be a man for me. But he's not going to be a man for you, and he's not going to be a man for you because he was already set in a childlike way by his mother. And because he did not learn how to be a man from his father, he is set in this feminine way, and he's looking to be taken care of by you. Now, that's the other reason why this male is not going to ever be a man to this woman. The other reason why this male won't be a man to you is just like I stated before, the woman will never respect this man because when she sees this man, she already sees him from a less than level. And as she gets involved with him, she does not see him in a leadership role. And because she does not see the man in a leadership role, she just does not respect that man because once she sees that male in that lower level, she does not see anybody she respects. And that's why it's important for a man to be established when he first meets a woman, because when a man is established, he can take the leadership role. Once you come into the relationship, you're not going to be able to graduate to the leadership role because that's what one of a lot of things that the women think, oh, I'll get involved with this guy and I'll fix him and he'll come into the leadership role. But then what happens is you have a power struggle, and that power struggle oftentimes is what leads to the friction in a relationship because when you have the woman in the leadership role, she does not want to give up that power. And I also talked about that in my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. The woman does not want to let go of her power and let this man lead. And she does not trust that man to go out here and lead because when she sees this man out here who is less than her and he sees her and she sees him in the childlike role, what happens is she does not respect that man and she basically sees this guy as somebody she just has no real regard for. So these homosexual pookie relationships, they oftentimes deteriorate. And the reason why they deteriorate is because these males just can't really be the leader and the authority figure. And like Kenneth was saying, that some women prefer these guys. Yeah, they prefer them in the beginning, but what happens is that these women eventually get tired of this guy because he cannot step up and he has no, some of them really have no interest in stepping up. So he's not interested in stepping up to that leadership role. And a lot of those guys, they don't want to step up because they are afraid of taking a leadership role. So some of these guys out here, they just get real scared of being a leader. And again, they want the woman to take control. So they don't really want to go out here and be leaders. So they want the woman to stay in the driver's seat and they just go along to get along until it really starts to bother them. And it bothers a lot of these guys because they know on the inside something is wrong here because no man really is going to go out here and want the woman leading him. I mean, God hardwired the man to be the leader and the head and to follow behind the woman. It feels completely unnatural. And these guys start to feel emasculated oftentimes when they're out here. They start to feel emasculated when when they're out here with their woman. They don't really feel like a man because the woman, when she starts talking about him, she talks down to him. When she's out in public with him, she kind of condescends. And because she has the leverage, if the guy ever pushes back, she'll start again warning him by telling him, I can put you out her house. And she can put this guy out of her house at any time because he doesn't have a job. He's not paying any bills in that house. And he's not really contributing to that home in any way, shape, or form. He has no name on the lease. So he has no power in that home. And in fact, the children, if she has children, have more power than him in any situation. And this really is the thing that really starts to chafe your hobosexuals or your pookies. It really starts to chafe them because they start to realize they can't really be a man in this situation. And this is one of the things that leads to their relationship starting to deteriorate is they realize, hey, I can't be a man in this household. I can't be a leader in this household. And I can't really run nothing in here. Anything that I do is at the mercy of this female. And if she decides that she doesn't want to do anything, then I'm not going to be able to make any sort of moves whatsoever. So a lot of these guys, they're thinking, oh, I can go live with this female and everything will be cool. But that's just not the way a man and a woman are supposed to live. And eventually, what happens is that nature or God, what happens is because God hardwired the man again to be the head and the leader, he starts to chafe at being emasculated, and he starts to realize he's got no power in that home. He's got no say in that home, and he is beneath the children in that home. If that woman has children, and he's even beneath the friends. Outside of his penis, he has nothing to offer. And if this female sees another dude, what she will do is replace him with another dude. That's why you'll see pictures like I saw on Instagram of a dude who was sitting out on the sidewalk with his Jordans and all of his pit bulls and his gear on the sidewalk because he don't own nothing in that home. His name ain't on the lease. He's not making any of his own paper. And when you're out here like that, that woman can practically throw you out at any time because when she gets in her feelings, she can just say, look, I don't want this guy here. Call 911 and get rid of you. And you're on the street and you're trying to scavenge a dollar by begging for some change. And that's what happens to a lot of these guys who follow the hobosexual paradigm that they learned from their single mother. They go out here trying to live life like a woman, but what happens is these females wind up kicking them in the backside worse than a man, because in many cases, all it has to take is this female getting upset and about something or some fear that she has. What happens is she will put you out of her house because she's insecure about something as related to the relationship. And because she's insecure about something about the relationship, she will just feel like it's her right to just throw you out of her home. And there's nothing you can do about it but sit there and deal with it. And many of these guys, they don't understand how bad this paradigm ends for them until they wind up on the street or they wind up in a homeless shelter. They don't understand how bad this is going to end for them, because when you're out here and all you have to offer is penis to these females, then you're in a bad place and you don't know how bad things are. Now, these guys, they're sitting here again. They're not thinking about, hey, I need to go get my stuff together, because, again, many of them coming from the female-headed household, they still have this mindset of a child. And when the woman takes them in, she's feeling sorry for them. So they're sitting there thinking that they can go live their dreams. And you'll have these guys who, if they're not playing PlayStation, they're concocting these crazy schemes like they're going to be a rapper. And some of these guys, they're sitting there talking about how they're going to enter the rap game, how they're going to cut a record. And they're sitting there talking about how they're writing rhymes. But 6 months later, there aren't enough songs to make a record. A year later, he's never spent any of the money she gave him on studio time, and he's not cutting any tracks whatsoever a year and a half later, and nothing is finished as related to this dude. He's always talking about what he's gonna do, but he never really finishes anything. And that's when the relationship starts to deteriorate, in addition to the emasculation and the female not having respect for him. She starts to look at this man's efforts to accomplish something, and she looks at this guy a year and a half later and sees this guy really has not really finished anything. He has not really accomplished anything. And when she looks at him sitting there on the sofa, she starts to really get angry, especially if she's on one of these high profile jobs and she's talking to these other dudes on the job. When she's sitting there talking to these other dudes on the job and hearing about how this guy is working on this promotion, or this guy is working on trying to get another certification so he can make more money, or this guy is working on other projects. These men are out here building and finishing projects. And then you have dude over here talking about how he's cutting a record, but he hasn't finished coming up with a theme for his album. He hasn't come up with any lyrics for his songs. He hasn't really written any sort of songs whatsoever. He has no beats or tracks lined up. He's got no studio time scheduled. Nothing is set to finish. The woman starts to look at him and starts saying, why aren't you doing anything? I thought I brought you here so that you could get those first steps towards moving yourself ahead. But dude has not moved a single inch in the 6 months to a year that this man has been in her house. The only thing that has moved is the headboard as it's rocked back and forth. But that's the only thing that's moved in that whole house at that time. And outside of what he has offered as related to sex, he has brought nothing to the table whatsoever. And these dudes are sitting up there, nothing's done, nothing's finished, not even a single song made. But he's sitting up here talking about, I'm going to be a big time rap star. He hasn't scheduled any appearances to let people know that's out here that he's got good lyrics or good lyrical skills. He's brought nothing out here at all. I mean, when you look at this guy out here, all he has done is he's sitting on the sofa, he's playing the Xbox or the PlayStation, or he's on YouTube beefing and arguing with other beta males in some 6-hour live stream, some 7-hour live stream, some 8-hour live stream, talking about black women on this black woman's internet. And he never thinks to say, hey, I need to go out here and try to look for a job because this sister is taking time to let me stay in her place. And I need to go out here and put some money on the table so that I can start making some steps to get myself up off this woman's sofa and out of this woman's bed. So he's not thinking about doing anything like that, heading over to Indeed to look for a job or one of the other job seeking websites, or even heading over to places like your target.com or one of these other places looking for work. No, he's still sitting there with this juvenile idea of he's going to be a rap star, and he's sitting there writing some rhymes in the beginning, maybe 1 or 2 rhymes, but it never turns into a complete song. And he never really finishes anything, but he'll sit there and talk about, how he wants the new Jordans that came out at the VIM, which is here in the Bronx, or one of the Foot Lockers, or one of the Foot Action stores. He's all over there looking for the new kicks and waiting outside the store for the kicks like a child. And he's taking his girlfriend over there to go buy the new kicks, but he's not out here looking to go and make his own paper so he can go buy his own kicks with his own money. And that's what happens with your hobosexuals and your guys out here, your pookies and your ray rays. They come out here, they're not really looking for anything. They're thinking I can stay off a woman, but staying on a woman, that's just not a good look for a man. A man doesn't want to stay in a woman's house and be kept taken care of like a child. No, a man wants to have his own, and a man wants to have his own because when he has his own stuff, what happens is people will look at him completely different. It's just like I was talking about in last week's live stream, talking about the BMW, the black man working. When the black man has a job and is making his own money, people look at him differently. And when they look at him, they see a leader because if this man is at work making his own money and making his own paper, what women see is a guy who is taking control of his life and starting to take the steps towards building something as related to a life for himself. And when they see that man building, they start to see a guy from a completely different perspective because when they look at the homosexual or the pookie, they look down at him. But when they look at the BMW, they're looking in his eyes and looking directly at him. And when they look directly at him, they see a man who is focused. They see a man with purpose. They see a man with direction. And when a woman sees a man with that purpose, focus, and direction, she sees a man who she respects. And she sees a man who is taking the lead. And when she sees that man taking the lead, she starts to see a man she wants to follow. And when women see a man they want to follow, they see a man they want to help, and they start to fall into their natural role of helpmeet towards that man. And that's the thing that has them looking at that other guy and saying, hey, I look at that guy and he wants to do something with his life. Meanwhile, they look at the homosexual and he's sitting up there playing the PlayStation, talking about how he wants to get the new Mortal Kombat game or the new Madden. And that's what makes her feel embarrassed because as she's trying to move her life ahead, she's looking at this dude and seeing a guy who she can't really do anything with. I mean, she looks at this dude and she's like, what can I do with this guy? I mean, he was somebody I thought I could fix, somebody I thought I could help out, somebody who I thought was going to be a diamond in the rough I could polish. But this guy, a year and a half later, is not anybody I can polish. He's not even somebody I can bring out here to meet with my family or my friends because this guy, all he's thinking about is stuff that is basically childish. When she's trying to have a conversation with people to take her on another level, and she's trying to go to another level, but she's looking at this dude, and all he's talking about is getting the new Air Force Ones and getting the new Madden game and wearing Timberland spice tans and sagging jeans. And she's looking at this guy and going, can I bring this guy to a Christmas party at work? Can I bring him around my coworkers? And there's no way she can bring that guy around her coworkers, and she can't bring him anywhere. And she's looking at him because he doesn't have any sort of interpersonal skills. He has no social skills. He sits there, and the stuff he's talking about is complete babble when you sit there and talk to him because he's talking on a level of a teenager, and you're sitting there talking on the level of an adult. And when you start talking about the goals you want to accomplish, and you're talking about, trying to build something, or you're trying to take your business to another level, this guy's sitting here talking about how he's going to try to beat the Mortal Kombat game to get the downloadable characters. I mean, if you're a grown man and you're listening to this guy, you're just shaking your head. And when you bring him into business and social circles, it's embarrassing to look at. So The women, they will get with the homosexual, again, thinking they can clean the guy up and get him to that level. But then they find out there is no getting him to that level. If you want to get a man who's high quality, he's got to be established already, because an already established man, when he enters those social circles, he's not going to be sitting here talking about a Madden game or talking about Air Jordans or Air Force Ones. No, he's going to be talking about increasing the sales for whatever product he's trying to create, or he's going to be talking about how he's going to create some innovation that will revolutionize a certain industry, or he's going to be talking, if he's talking about buying something, he's going to be talking about buying wealth building assets like buying a home, or he's going to be sitting here talking about different things. Like if a guy is talking about cars, he's going to be talking about building cars and working on different cars. And if he's into computers, he's going to be talking about tech and how he wants to, like, a lot of guys, they build their own computers. They're going to be talking about motherboards. They're going to be talking about video cards. They're going to be talking about stuff on a whole nother level. And when you have guys talking about stuff on a whole nother level, what's going to happen is it's going to show that this guy is about something. He has, again, a purpose and a direction, and he has vision. And these are things that women will find more attractive than your homosexual pookie who is still doing childlike stuff and still out here acting like, again, an overgrown teenager who he just doesn't know how to function. And these are the things that happen when a woman gets involved with these kind of guys. And this is why these relationships fall completely apart. Now, some of these guys, they know that the relationship is going to fall apart. So some of these guys, they go looking to use these women, and they go trying to pump and dump these females. They have a whole plan where they're thinking, oh, it's cold out here, so I'm going to find a female to get with. And what they will do is try to go find this female, try to spit some so-called game to her, and they will try to talk their way into her house to have a place to stay for a couple of months until summer warms up. But usually this whole plan falls completely apart. What's going on, devil? How are you? Yeah, but they try to call themselves coming into this woman's house for a couple of months, but what happens is everything falls apart because, again, everything is in her name. Everything belongs to her. And all she has to do is call 911 on said dude. And if she calls 911, then he has to leave because his name is not on the lease. His name is not on the property deed. And he has no rights in that situation. And that's not a place a man wants to be. You don't want to be in a place where you are at the mercy of a female, because most females, they are emotional. And because most females are emotional, all it takes is something to trigger those emotions and you're out the door. That's why a smart man wants to have his own money. That's why a smart man wants to have his own place. And that's why a smart man wants to have his own stuff, because if this woman gets in her feelings about anything, then what that man can do is go out here and go back to his spot where he's paying the bills. And if he's got his own spot where his name is on the deed or the lease, then nobody can kick him out of his spot because this is his stuff. And when it's your stuff, guess what happens? Nobody can kick you out of it. And the female, she can get in her feelings all she wants. And if she gets too angry with you, you can just cut this woman off. So that's what a man can do when he has his money straight. That's what a man can do when he has his stuff together. He doesn't have to sit there and walk on eggshells because this woman is in her feelings and her insecurities are kicking up. He doesn't have to go sit there hiding in the house, scared like a little boy scared of an abusive mother. He doesn't have to sit there terrified whether or not this is the day she calls 911. And he doesn't have to worry about this female starting to express her contempt for him by doing things like saying, I bought all this stuff for you, emasculating statements, or going out here and destroying stuff by pouring bleach on it, cutting it up, setting it on fire. I mean, this is what the homosexual has to deal with. This is the kind of drama he has to endure. But a man, once a female starts pulling those types of games, he just says, I'm just going to get up, go back to my spot, and I'm going to end the whole relationship because he's not going to put up with any sort of disrespect from these females out here. No, he's not going to put up with any of that stuff because he's going to sit there and realize that he is the guy who's taking care of himself because he's putting himself first. And because he's putting himself first, he's not going to wind up last on the street. And a lot of guys, they wind up last on the street because they go out here thinking they can be under a woman. And what happens is that woman that they're under decides to push them out on the street because either she starts to lose respect for him and puts him out of her house, and or he starts to disagree with the way she's running things and she puts him out of her house. Or what happens is he starts trying to make moves ahead, and because she doesn't want to give up power in the relationship, she puts him out of the house. And this is what happens is that every effort this guy tries to make as related to moving his life forward, he winds up getting undermined, and is going to get undermined because, again, this woman is not going to want to give up that power. Now, some of these guys, they think they can do this kind of thing, hopping from one woman's house to the other, but that's not the way a man works in this world, because eventually that good deed that you're out here trying to serve up to these females is gonna get older. You're gonna get older, and these females are going to stop seeing you as something, as some sort of sex guy, and they're not gonna see you as a guy they want to go here and get the D from. They're gonna be like, look at this old dude who's 40, 45, 50, and he has no place, he has no money, and he has nothing going for him. So he's sitting up there in out here in his 40s, his early 50s. I mean, people start looking at you and saying, this is not a guy I want to deal with, because he's still living like a child out here. And because he's living like a child out here, what's happening is people start seeing him and they don't have any respect for him. I mean, they look at this dude who's out here. He's still wearing sagging pants. He's still wearing tennis shoes, and he's sitting up here again, still talking about PlayStations. Thank you for the super chat, Mobar7170. Really appreciate it. It'll take a minute. A Kindle edition is a digital version of a book. It's an ebook that you can go out here and buy. It's the same thing as one of these books like John Haynes' The Man with Nothing to Lose, but you can read it on your iPad or you can read it on your cell phone. So you have the option when you buy an ebook, you can read it on your phone when you're on the train or on the bus, and you can read the ebooks on here. I've bought other people's books like Dondra T. Whitfield's Male versus Man, and I've read this on my phone. I've read the Big Monty books that feature the art of Chris Miller on these books on the phone. So you can, an ebook you can buy on Kindle, and I offer a lot of books like that on Kindle because some people, they like to read them on the phone, but I also offer them in paperback for those who don't want to read them on the phone. I give people an option for which one they want to read. So a Kindle edition is just a digital edition, and a paperback is one of these that fixed tangible books, and it's laid out. So that's the difference between the two. And again, if you guys want to donate to the Cash App, that brings the money directly to me, as somebody said in the chat. And that donation goes directly to me, and I use it to pay artists like Mike Williams to design covers for books like John Haynes, The Man with Nothing to Lose, and artists like Bill Walker to do ISIS, The Main Event. Or in the case of the 2021 books, I hired Mike Williams to do the cover for John Haynes, Taking Care of Business, which is inspired. The cover is inspired by the 1994 movie A Low Down Dirty Shame, which featured Keenan Ivory Wayans, Jada Pinkett, and Sally Richardson. So I took the homage with that cover. And I have ISIS, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess. I also hired Bill Walker to do this cover. So the stream is still going on, but I'm just going to talk. That's what I use the donations for, to the Cash App and the Patreon. So that's what I use the money for, because I'm trying to build the SJS Direct imprint. And that's what I'm trying to do with the money. And that's not what your hobosexuals or your pookies do with the money when they go out here. No, those guys are not about here building. They are about going out here and just living off people. What's the first book in the John Haynes series? Well, the book that starts everything for John Haynes is The Temptation of John Haynes. But the first book in the series is John Haynes, A Conversation with Death. I'll leave a link to both of them. But Temptation starts everything. In fact, it starts the whole SJS Direct universe. So that's Temptation starts everything with John Haynes. Just need to do a whole new John Haynes live stream. So, but the John Haynes series, the John Haynes story starts with Temptation of John Haynes, but the first book in the John Haynes series is John Haynes, A Conversation with Death. That has 9 5-star rankings on Amazon right now. You can get that book on Amazon as well. Both of those books are available in paperback and Kindle format. But let me get back to this hobosexual discussion, because, again, the hobosexual male is not about building. And what's really sad is he's used to being in that female role, but he doesn't understand that when a man is in the female role, he is going to wind up eventually becoming a man in crisis. And he's going to become a man in crisis because these women out here, they're not going to have the same feelings for him that his mother had. Yes, his mother would sit here and nurture his dreams. His mother would nurture his ideas about being out here and either being a rap star or let him sit on her sofa. But eventually, a woman, she's going to want a man to go out here and be a man. Devil was going off topic again. You can use most people read Stop Simping first, and then they go into Stop Simping in the Workplace. Stop Simping is the first book that I wrote, but you can read them in any order. I wrote them for anybody to use. So you can just start with Stop Simping, Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance, and you'll be all right. I mean, I wrote them to be for specific things. And right now I'm working on a new Stop Simping book. And this one is called Stop Simping in Cyberspace. And it's all about these online simps who are out here, going out here on these sites like OnlyFans and these sites like these streams on Twitch. And this one is designed to help those guys online understand how they're being played, and to understand that they're just going to have to go out here and put in the work. So that's what I'm working on right now. I'm hoping to have that ready for the fall catalog, Stop Simping in Cyberspace, because I see so many cyber simps out here. They're getting played by these women, and these women are making 6 figures at their expense when they could take that money that they're spending on these females and put that money towards investing in themselves. And a guy has to come out here and invest in himself, because a man is the only person who can take care of himself. So when you have a guy out here, he has to go out here and be able to take care of himself, because if he does not go out here and look to take care of himself, nobody else is going to do it. Because many of the guys who became these pookies and these hobosexuals, what happens is they were in the single mother household. They grew up with this welfare state mindset, and they're looking for somebody to take care of them. But there are no safety nets for a man like they are for a female. I mean, a female, when they're out here, they have all of these safety nets to take care of them. They have Section 8, they have welfare, they have food stamps, they have all of these different things to take care of them. And because they have all of these things to take care of them, they have no way of being able to take care of themselves. So these women, they can go out here and they can have a big fall, and they can have this big fall because there's always somebody there to catch them, either the welfare state, either food stamps or Section 8, or there's a series of simps out here who will go out here and carry them, even if they have a job, because a lot of these women, they have 2 to 3 sources of income, and they have different options that a man doesn't have. So you'll have guys out here, they'll be like, oh, I can go out here and live like a woman. No, you can't live like a woman, because eventually they're going to cut you off at a certain point. And then once you reach a certain age, these women are not going to want to take you into the home. And it doesn't matter about your D, it only matters about your resources. And if you don't have any resources, she's not going to want to have anything to do with you, because this is why we see so many men out here homeless and struggling, because they at one time, in some cases, they thought they could live with these females, but all it takes, again, is one 911 call, and he's lost everything in one night. All it takes is for this female to make one call. And why should you sit there living in fear of this woman making a call when you could have your own stuff, and you need to start working on building towards getting your own stuff? Because again, once you get your own stuff, nobody can kick you out. Nobody can take what's yours. And you can sit there, she can sit there and act a fool all she wants. You just go leave her house and then go back to your house. And it's just as easy as that. But a lot of guys don't learn this at an early age. And a lot of them don't learn that at an early age because there's no father there to teach them the importance of being a man. There's no father there to model manhood for them. And there's no man out there to let them know that you need to have your own stuff and you need to have it early on. And you can't sit there and wait for somebody else to give something to you. And a lot of these guys, they get discouraged and frustrated because they start to see, again, females in the job market creating the HR brick wall, but you have to persevere and keep fighting to make a way for yourself. If they won't give you a job at one place, you got to try to find a job at another place, or you have to start working on a serious business venture so that you can start making your own paper so that you can go out here and take care of your own business. Because once you start taking care of your own business, again, you are doing things on your terms. You are taking the lead. You are taking the initiative. You are out here pushing for your own. And when you're out here pushing for your own, you don't have to worry about any sort of living off a female, worrying about whether you're going to offend her, or worrying about whether if you offend her the wrong way, she's going to put you out of the house and emasculate you. Because some women, what they will do is lock you out the house and tell you the only way you can come back is by doing things their way, basically putting you in the same role as a child. And that a grown man should not have to worry about that type of situation where he's worrying about whether some woman's going to put him out of a house, because if a man is paying the money and the bills on that house, he doesn't have to worry about that. He's like, look, this is my stuff. And if you don't like the way I'm doing things, you can leave. But if this is mine and mine is paid for by me, then I don't have to worry about that. And that's what a man does. But again, a lot of these guys who grow up in these single mother households, they don't really get that type of training. And they're thinking that this whole thing of drifting from one woman's sofa to another woman's sofa and knocking the headboard and blowing the backs out of these females is something constructive. But once a man gets to a certain age, this is not going to work, because once you start to get in your late 30s, 40s, and 50s, this is just not going to work living off women, because the women, again, they're going to get older. They're going to want to be in a different place in the world, and they're going to want to move their lives forward. And when they look at you still sitting here talking about how you're still talking about sneakers and girls and all sorts of childish stuff, they're looking at you, and they're looking at you and they're shaking their head, because they realize they don't have a man. They have not fixed up a man. They're stuck with a child, and they realize that they have the equivalent of a handicapped child, because you have a man with an adult body, but he's still acting like a child. And that really frustrates a lot of women out here, because they came into this thinking they could help a man get on his feet. But this man, he's not going to ever be, again, on that level of a man, because usually when a woman sees a true to game man and compares it to what she's got, she realizes she does not have a man. Because when you're dealing with a man, he already has his stuff together. He's already established, and he's ready to take the lead. And that's what the women want to see in a man. And that's what they really are drawn to, because they want to see a man. I mean, that some women are, when they're young, they're drawn to that kind of guy in the beginning. But what happens is they lose respect for that dude. They eventually wind up not wanting to deal with this guy, because when she looks at him, she's looking down at him. And when she compares him to other guys out here who have their stuff together, she realizes that she's never going to be able to look eye to eye at this man. And when you're in an initial meeting with a woman, she wants to look you dead in the eye and see a guy who's already got stuff together, because when she sees a guy who already has stuff together, she knows she can trust that man to take the lead and set a direction for the relationship. That's what she's looking for, but you're not going to find that with a hobosexual or a pookie. A pookie is never going to be ready and equipped to take a relationship to an adult direction. He's not in that place to do that mentally, and he's not there because his single mother still has him coddled like a child, and he's not ready to do work the way a man does work. When a man goes out here and he's out ready to work, he's like, look, when I go out here and get with the woman, I want to start working on getting to know this woman, and I'm looking for that respect from minute one. Meanwhile, this guy is hoping, wishing, and praying for pity, but no relationship ever works with pity. A man wants respect, and if he can't get respect from minute one, he's not interested in going anywhere with that woman. So the females who like the pookie types, they are looking for somebody to have power over, but no man wants to be with a woman who looks to want to have power over him. No, he's looking to be the leader from minute one, because he knows that if he's not seen as a leader, he's not going to get any respect, and he's going to have to deal with contempt from this female as this relationship goes on. And that contempt is going to turn into further disrespect, like Tariq Nasheed talked about in his classic video, 7 Levels of Disrespect. And I urge you to go check that video out, because as this disrespect continues to escalate, eventually what these females will do if they stay with this kind of guy is either they're going to put him out the house in the best case scenario, or in the worst case scenario, she's going to go get some insurance money on dude and try to have him taken out because he has no value to the woman at that point outside of collecting insurance money on him. So a lot of guys out here, they're thinking, oh, I can just bounce from sofa to sofa. But again, this gets really old over time, and it really does not really turn out well for a guy, because either he's going to be in the shelter system, on the street, because again, there's no support system for men out here, and he's going to bounce from shelter to shelter, or he's going to be living on the street, or he's going to wind up 6 feet under. So this whole life paradigm is not made for a man. And sadly, many guys never get this information to understand that the world works differently for a man than it does a woman out here. And the feminine life approaches he learned in that single mother household, those feminine life approaches make him ill prepared for survival in this world. So he's not prepared for survival in this world. And a lot of these guys, when they get older, they realize that they're just completely ill-equipped. And when they realize they're completely ill-equipped, that's when we start to see these men who were just existing in these women's houses eventually turn into men in crisis. Now, I need 3 more book sales in order to hit 20 this month, and I can only do that with your support. So if you guys could head over to Amazon.com and pick up some of the books on the SJS Direct imprint, like 2020's ISIS, The Main Event, or John Haynes, The Man with Nothing to Lose, or the new books, John Haynes, Taking Care of Business, and ISIS, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess, or the other 2020 books like Eternal Night or Eastine Blast from the Past, I would be greatly appreciated. I have, again, those books on Amazon.com right now. And if you want to learn more about guys like I discussed in tonight's topic, you can pick up a copy of the critically acclaimed Man Crisis on Amazon.com. So you can pick those books up on Amazon.com right now. And again, I'm looking for 3 more book sales in order to make 20. Now, last month, I had a blockbuster month with 60 sales, and I'm hoping that you guys, again, will come out and pick up some of these books. Books like The Man Crisis and Stop Simping will really help you, and they will really help transform your life so that you won't be living on a woman's sofa. You'll be your own man with your own stuff. David, I would love to come out on a public forum to talk about these topics. I talk about them on other streams like Gboot 2786. I've talked about many of these topics on other shows online, but you have to go check them out. I mean, they're out there, but I have discussed these type of things on different topics, but I wanted to talk about it on my own platform because I was watching the David Carroll video, and he was talking about how these guys wind up homeless, these black men wind up homeless, and because the woman kicks them out of the house. And what happens is again, they start out learning this thing well, Stop Simping is already out, Devil, in the Caribbean. It's all over. I mean, it's all over if you're in the Caribbean, you should be able to get it on Amazon UK, or it's also available on Smashwords, and it's also available on Google Play. So, I can give you the link to Stop Simping on Smashwords, and you can get it there. Just give me a second. Here we go. Because my books are all over the world, so. Well, it should be able to get to you because Amazon moves quick, so. I will leave a link to the Smashwords version, but that's digital. But Yeah, it will take a while for it to get there, but usually Amazon makes sure it does get there. But I have all books all over the world. I mean, I have readers and viewers all over the world. I have readers in Africa, I have readers in Europe, I have readers in Canada, I have readers in Asia. I mean, readers all over the place who have learned from books like Stop Simping. I mean, those books have practically transformed people's lives and helped them to become better men out here. And yeah, that's the kind of guy, David. They're all out here. I mean, they're all out here, and what's sad is these some women pay these guys attention, not understanding that they are all out here, and they don't understand what type of nightmare they're going to get into because this is not a man that you can deal with. Um, well, that's why I have my books on other platforms. I have it on Smashwords, I have it on iBookstore, and I have Google Play. Um, I understand that again they like to censor people on Amazon, but that doesn't really help anything because the content creators are going to take the content elsewhere. And again, content is king. You can't censor content because people are going to go where the content is on the internet, and the content is fluid. I mean, people tried to stop again the pirates with the comics, but they're still going strong. But it's like they got to learn the hard way about certain things. And the whole thing is that what's going on, Gavin? Glad to see you here. I was just getting ready. I was talking about these hobosexuals or what they call the pookies out here, the guys who are out here living off women and living in their houses. You know, these kind of guys who just live to be taken care of by women. So that's what I was talking about in tonight's stream. And I was trying to get people to understand that these are beta males and they are men in crisis. And they start out in single mother households, learning these dysfunctional ways of life. Thank you, DWT 1975, picking up Manginas. I'm glad you thought Man Crisis was fire. I wrote that book to really help out a lot of guys out here because I see so many men suffering. And a lot of these guys are suffering because they learn dysfunctional approaches in these single mother households. So a lot of these guys, they learned a lot of bad programming in these single mother households, and they didn't learn the male life skills they would need to survive. I mean, wow, David, that's really sad. I mean, because he had body odor issues, so he had hygiene issues, and he was argumentative. So he was like a classic beta male. I mean, but that they don't really keep jobs because they don't know how to work with other men. And thank you, DWT 1975, for the super chat. Really appreciate it. So this guy really, he again didn't have the male life skills to know how to work and survive in the workplace. I mean, sad that nobody could even talk to him to help him out. But that's what happens with beta males. They think that their approaches to life are going to work, but all they do is wind up losing at every turn. And they wind up losing at every turn because, that, like the females that they were raised by, they just think their way is the best way. But there's not that way is not going to work in the world for a man. A man has to understand that when a man is trying to talk to you, you need to listen. And if they're telling you you have problems, then you need to go out here and work on those problems because if you're out here being late for work and then arguing with people, you're not going to be able to keep that job. Yeah, he was really messed up. I mean, everything you're telling me was this guy, he's a textbook beta male. I mean, asking about a girlfriend, that's just messed up. I mean, a man on a job is only thinking about making his paper. He's not worried about another man's woman. He's worried about getting his work done for that day, making that money, and then get to his house the next day. He's not thinking about some female. I mean, that just again shows you textbook beta male. That's probably why he wound up losing his job because he wasn't really focusing his priorities on getting his money right, stacking his paper, and getting himself together. And that's what a man has to focus on when he's out here because, again, the only person who can take care of a man is himself. He's the only one who's going to be taking care of his business out here. So he has to be able to get himself together. So, I mean, some of these guys, they don't understand things like hygiene. Because when you have body odor, you might have those problems, but you have to work on them. I mean, sometimes you have to go, if you have to go to a doctor, you take care of that business because you don't want stuff that's going to put your job at risk and put your money at risk out here. And that's something that, again, a lot of guys are not getting because they have mommy coddling them. But when you have dad telling you, look, you need to go in here, take care of this, and he shows you how to take care of this, then you're going to learn what you need in order to function in the world. So you have a lot of guys out here, they're still looking for a mommy to take care of them, but you have to learn how to be a man who learns how to take care of himself. And that's something, again, a lot of guys are not getting out here as related to things. So they're not learning what they need to get out here, and they are just not learning what they need to get their needs met out here. And because they're not learning what they need to get their needs met, they're not able to function. And his body odor, from what I'm hearing, David, is, it could have been related to that bike. Oh yeah, you ride a bike to work. So, I mean, again, his attitude was one of the things that probably cost him his job, and just being late to work, argumentative. But those are beta male traits. And those beta male traits is things that I learned at the Strive Job Readiness Workshop messed up a lot of guys and kept them from keeping jobs. So I'm seeing a lot of stuff that I learned at the Strive Job Readiness Workshop back in 2000 that's messing up a lot of guys today in 2021. And it seems like, again, a lot of people are not getting that training as related to getting a job and keeping it. And again, a lot of the males out here, they're just not really getting what they need to get out here so they can learn how to take care of business. So I'm seeing that, and they're looking for women to take care of them. But a woman can't take care of your business. You have to be a leader and take care of your business, sort of like what I wrote about in my book. One reason why I call it John Haynes Taking Care of Business is because the John Haynes character is taking the lead and he's getting ready to handle business. And you have to get that same type of mindset of taking care of your own business, because as a man, you have to go out here and be able to take care of things in your own life. And a guy who's living off women, he's not in that place to take care of business. But I understand that there are some guys out there, they've had hard times and they want to try to get back on their feet, but they always come up with a plan to get back on their feet. The pookie types, they have not figured out on how to get back on their feet. So and some of them are looking for mommies to take care of them their whole life. And that's not the move out here. You can't look for another woman to take care of you. Again, as the Bible states, the man is the leader and the head, and the woman is the helpmeet and support. And the man is supposed to be looking out here to build something for himself and establish something. And he's supposed to be looking for a woman to help him maintain what he has built or help him work on building something towards something. She's looking for a leader, and you have to be in a leadership position. She's not looking for some guy who's following behind her, because the guy who follows behind her, she does not see as somebody she respects. So guys out here, again, they think living off of women is going to be able to sustain them. It's never going to sustain you, because a man who lives on a woman is a man who is living a sad, pathetic existence. So I'm going to get ready to wrap up tonight's stream. And again, I would really appreciate if you guys would head over to Amazon.com to pick up many of the books I just mentioned, like John Haynes, Taking Care of Business, ISIS, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess, or the nonfiction books like The Man Crisis or Stop Simping. And I'd really also appreciate it if you guys would donate to the Cash App. 100% of the funds go to me, and I use those to pay for book covers for the SJS Direct books. And I also use it towards going out here and paying for the internet. And if you also would like, you could also donate to the Patreon, or you could donate via PayPal, and that also allows me to be able to pay the bills for the internet and be able to do more streams. So I want to thank everybody for coming out to tonight's stream, and I hope you'll be there for next week's stream.